Dr. Christine Kaczmar, thank you so much for being on this virtual summit where you're going to be sharing your 3 tips. Damn, wish somebody would have told me that. But first, welcome to the summit.
Patty, what's going on?
I'm so excited that you're here, only because I know that you and I have been on this journey for many, many years. And I know you were an entrepreneur before I was, but for the viewers, tell us a little bit about yourself, the magic that you bring to the world. I love the mission and what you talk about. I think it's really important that the world knows just how heart-centered your mission is. So please do share a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. That's really kind. And it's a thrill to be here with the other ladies doing this summit. Such a great idea that you've put together. I'm always impressed with all the things you do. But what I do is I help people with different various levels of Crohn's, colitis, digestive issues. I've been doing that for some time. I'm known as the digestion doc. And I also have my own custom formulations that I've created for those types of ailments as well.
Excellent. And tell people the mission that you have, because I love how you say that in your videos. I think it's very important.
Yeah. So my mission is to save 5 million lives from the broken medical model. I've written a book about that in 2017. It feels like the 1900s. And so I just love educating. I love talking to people about the real way to health, because there's a lot of propaganda everywhere. We've seen that in the last 3 years. I won't digress into all of that, but yeah, people just need to be armed with the information of how the body really works. And it's not that complicated. Our biology, our physiology is very brilliant, and it just needs a little bit of guidance by understanding food and nutrition, and magic happens when you really connect those dots.
I love it. Now, you have a very unique business model because it's service-based, but also you have a supplement line. How did you get started with that?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my numbers for tax season and how much I was investing in other people's supplements, and I'm like, hang on a second. As an inner entrepreneur and capitalist, I'm like, why am I spending all this money on somebody else's stuff? How can I take these recipes of my mentors and make them my own, make them better? And so I started doing a lot of research and found some great things to connect the dots to make people get more benefit with digestion by adding cinnamon or turmeric, and finding out more and more about food and how a lot of these nutrients have antiviral, antibacterial properties, and why not throw that into my blend? And it just took off, and it's been a beautiful journey, and I'm so glad that I did. But that's the real reason why I did it, is I wanted to make something of my own, make it better than what I was already using. But let's face it, as an entrepreneur, having a capability to make money when I sleep versus one-on-one with patients, this is a way where people can reorder, and it's kind of my continuity program, is my own supplement line.
Well, and I have to tell you, this is completely unsolicited. Your Smart Carb, which I know is like your flagship one, it literally is the thing that I take every single day, multiple times a day, as well as everyone in my family. Like when we have our dinner, the bottle of Smart Carbs on the table. So I legitimately, it is like the best product. It's such a lifesaver for me personally. I used to, and I know, again, unsolicited, you guys, like it's an incredible product. There's going to be a link right below. Highly, highly recommend. It's just like literally our staple at home. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, and just really quickly, people are wondering, what is she talking about? They're food enzymes, which are not probiotics. So this is where that education comes in. Everybody thinks about probiotics, which are important. I have my own probiotic formula, but it's the food enzymes that come first, because food enzymes take place in the stomach, whereas probiotics are taking effect in the intestine. So people kind of are missing a step. And so that's why people really get great results with it.
Well, and can I also say, I heard another professional talk about the power of enzymes, that it's literally like life force. And I thought that was so brilliant. I was like, oh my God. So can you just a little tangent on that, explain why enzymes are necessary?
Yeah, I would love to. So without enzymes, we would drop dead like that. There are 3 categories of enzymes. We have food enzymes, we have digestive enzymes, and we have metabolic enzymes. So food enzymes are found in food, like you would think. You see a green banana ripens to a yellow banana with spots. All plants, all living things have enzymes, but all foods have these plant enzymes, okay? So as the food ripens, in this case, the banana turns green, then it turns yellow, then it turns yellow with spots. The yellow with spots has more enzymes in it, which makes it easier to digest. The problem results with our food industry, which loves profit also. And so what they do is they purposely remove the food enzymes from the product so that it can extend shelf life. And what this then means is that your digestive enzymes, which are in your saliva, in your stomach, in your pancreas, and so on, your digestive enzymes now have to work harder. And we have an enzyme bank account, meaning we are born with a set amount of digestive enzymes. So the more digestive enzymes we're kind of sacrificing for the food enzymes that we're lacking, the less life we're going to have. So the life force is really true. So the more food enzymes you add back, the less wasteful you're going to be with your very coveted amount of digestive enzymes. And then lastly, metabolic enzymes are in every single cell of the body. So those are the three categories. My zone of genius is in the food enzyme space, which is where my formulations are. But yeah, thank you for letting me riff on that a little bit.
Yeah, I know you're super passionate about it. And I know that you've been talking about it for, at this point, like decades of just how important it is, not more than ever. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, having been an entrepreneur as long as you've been, what do you think is the number one struggle that you see for either people getting their business off the ground or women who are just kind of like in the midst of like, why can't I figure this out? What is the number one struggle you see happening over and over again? Because I know you've been in this game for a while.
Yeah, I love this question. In my view, my opinion is that I feel that people don't own their subject. And I feel like they don't own their subject, which means that they don't know how to effectively communicate about their subject, which means that they're getting in the way of their own insecurity and ego and stuff like that, so that they're not putting themselves on camera to educate or teach or whatever it is about whatever product they may be selling. If you own your subject, you have that inherent confidence, and you also align your purpose with what it is you want to do in the world. And it just becomes so easy to get out there and articulate, hey, I'm going to talk to you about XYZ. Here's the value I'm giving you. You probably didn't know these things, but I'm going to teach you. And then you make your pitch. When you do it in that way, I feel like it just sets you up for success. And I think that the struggle so many people have is they don't study their subject in and out to the point where they can effectively communicate what it is that they're trying to even sell. And so I think the consumer these days is so much more well-educated that they can sniff out the players and the pretenders from the people who really have that substantial gift of really caring about their customer, but more importantly, delivering the value by educating people in a way that's, you know, that's not salesy or anything like that, but is really providing benefit for people because they care. So that's what I think the answer to that struggle is people don't own their subject and they don't effectively communicate what it is that they're trying to even sell or teach.
I want to emphasize how important this is because I know that you and I have hung out at conferences and things like that. And I will never forget, I marveled the first time that I was at a conference with you and somebody's like, are you the digestion doc? And I was like, what? Like really creating the 1,000 true fans. You're such a great representation for that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that is so nuanced about the way that you do it. I've not seen this too often, but you're the type of person that that you're an expert. And it is undeniable, undisputable, like all the things, all the superlatives that I can think of when you're like, yeah, I'm like the Chuck Norris of and we've talked about it before, but that's the kind of conviction that is required that is going to, I believe, after watching you do this with such certainty, is to literally own your space so much so that it's almost like you bring the energy of like, I can't be denied. Like, this is who I am. And this, like, you're so unapologetic. So I want to really commend you for that because you're really one of the rare exceptions of people who do that well.
Thank you, Patty. And
yeah,
and it really just goes to the thing I just said, which is you got to have the at-bats, you know, you have to have that all those at-bats, all those rounds of seeing that whatever it is that you are selling, that you're establishing results for your customer, because I wouldn't have that kind of moxie, I know one of your favorite words, if I weren't delivering on the other end. Now, obviously it takes two people in my service-based industry. I mean, I need my patients to do what I'm asking of them. And they also know that I can kind of snip out if they're not doing what I'm asking of them. And you know, a small percentage of the patients that I work with, they don't want to do the work. By and large, thankfully, people are wanting to work with me because they want to do what's necessary. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, don't go out there acting cocky if you can't deliver, you know?
Right.
I mean, and I'm not saying that cocky is good or bad. I think there's something nice about someone being really confident, but the overarching theme should be that you are the expert in your field, that you've had so many at bats, you've established so many results that people would be silly not to work with you or buy your thing, because you could really make it happen for them, whatever it is that they're looking for. In my case, Crohn's, colitis, digestive issues.
Yeah, that's brilliant. All right, so let's go around the corner here and go into what are the 3 damn wish somebody would have told me that tips. We're going to go with tip number 1. What you got?
Let's go. All right. So tip number 1 is, I wish somebody would have told me about the power, I brought props, the power of the Pomodoro method.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Anyway, the Pomodoro method, I got this on Amazon. It reminds me of The Price is Right, back in the day when they had like the little red, you know what I mean? And it would tick away. Anyway, I just put 25 minutes on this and I get my deep work done. And I wish somebody would have told me that, because I have achieved the most important, something's ticking. It's like literally ticking. It's going to go off again. Anyway, I wish that somebody would have told me how important it is to just focus for 25 minutes, because I'm usually so helter skelter, and I'm the kind of person that I'll be working on a webinar and I'll decide to order like t-shirts off of Amazon or something ridiculous. Like, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for it. I just all of a sudden click on a new tab and I start ordering stuff on Amazon. Ridiculous. But when I have my little Pomodoro thing here, I'm going to take out this battery because it's ticking. When I have this thing, what I'll do is I'll put the 25 minutes on, take a 5-minute rest, and then decide if I want to do another 25-minute round, and then I take a longer break. I get so much more deep work done, and I can't stress enough the power of these 25 minutes. You would think you don't get a lot done, but I tell you, you do. And I know you love the Pomodoro method as well, but I wish somebody would have taught me that when I was like a little kid.
Yes, I love it. I agree. Very powerful way. All right, tip number 2 of damn, wish somebody would have told me that.
All right, tip number 2, and I have some bonus tips if we have time, but tip number 2 is, I wish that somebody would have told me taking risks is the sign of a warrior. I've never really had a problem taking risks, but I wish someone would have told me earlier on, listen, taking risks means that you are a badass. I mean, you don't want to be too risky, right? Like, I'm not telling you to, go on DraftKings and spend $5,000 on the Lions, because that would not be good. But it would be a good idea to take more risks, especially if it's something that you're passionate about. I think people play it too close to the vest, especially nowadays in the last 3 years. Even more reason to do what you really want to do and what you feel called to do, and take a risk. If it means going all virtual, do it. If it means, writing a book and you never thought that you could ever write a book, whatever it is, you need to take more risks. I think that I think too many people play it safe, and I don't like that.
Yep, agreed. All right, and tip number 3 of damn, I wish somebody would have told me that.
So this is one of my favorite things to do, and that is, I wish somebody would have told me when I was little, like in my teen years, 20s, to make an ideas book. Okay, because back in my day, we didn't even have cell phones, all right? But in my notes app on my cell phone, I have an ideas folder, and I might just be at a stoplight and I'll think about some idea and I'll just jot it down in that little ideas app. And I go back and I revisit them, and they trigger really profitable things where I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. So I think that the power of our ideas are really underestimated, and we can go back and revisit them sometimes years later and really deliver the goods when it comes to something that maybe we forgot about.
I love that, because can I just be honest, like sometimes, especially if I'll go out for my walk, I'll think of something really cool, a cool idea, I don't know, a hook, something,
Right.
the subtitle, whatever. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll remember it. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't remember it. And just
Exactly.
by putting it in your notes app, that's so smart. It's just like, just jot it down because that could be a springboard for other things. That's really, really smart.
Yeah, it's really true. And I have one more bonus one if I have time.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So on that front of having a little bit of an ideas app or notebook or whatever it is, however you decide to write things down, take work vacations where you are doing nothing but holding up in an Airbnb or whatever it is, where you're not going to a conference, but you're going to work on your own business for those 3 to 4 days. Think about how many times you've gone to conferences and you sat in the audience and heard someone do a pitch fest about XYZ, right? And you've taken away some homework assignments from that conference and you met some people, all great. But when was the last time you actually left your house, went to a different city, and all you did was work on your business for 2 to 4 days? That is something I wish somebody would have really said to me too. Instead of saying, go to all these conferences, because I love going to conferences. That's how we met. I mean, we're the same. We love going to conferences. And I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying make sure that you're spending the time to work on your business as if you're going to a conference, but it's just your business. I think that that's something that is, you can't replace the amount of hours you'll put into your own business if you take that time to do it.
I love it. All right, so we're going to recap. Tip number 1 is the Pomodoro method. I use the timer on my phone. You can buy a little timer, but it's that dedicated time of focus,
Right.
which is going to make you hella productive, if I do say so myself. Tip number 2 is taking risks, and that it's a sign of a warrior. Just taking risks, not being like scared to move forward. And tip number 3 is that taking the ideas book and the notes app, I think is genius, because it's true. I have missed out on ideas that have just come to me because I'm like, oh, I'll remember. And then tip number 4 is having that space and the dedicated time away from the office, away from what you would normally do, in order to generate ideas and work on your business as well.
Yeah, and quickly, tip 5, bonus 5.
Lord.
Be opinionated. It's okay to be polarizing. I had my best years in these last 3 when I've spoken out against what I believe in, what I stand firmly in. I've had a lot of strong opinions that have pushed people away from me, but I had more people flooding in toward me as a result. So whatever it is, whatever sector or industry you're in, be opinionated. You'll be surprised that your polarization will benefit you. It'll weed out and help people self-select that you are the one for them.
Well, can I just say that I've seen that in action with you, and I know that because the whole thing about polarization is like you're picking a side. Contrast is super powerful to get attention. It becomes a pattern break, and going through the whole process of, you're going to get haters and it stings, and nobody could tell you what that's like because you've lived it. But man, on the other side of that, what could happen is really remarkable, which is how I mentioned, I know for a fact, like, you have 1,000 true fans for sure, if not many, many more, because of that. So I think it's a powerful testimony to the power of contrast. And it's funny because I've heard people say, like, oh, more contrast. I'm like, wow, I could go more, I could go farther. I know you've told me, you're like, no, go deeper, go farther. And it's just it's important to do that in this super noisy world. So
Very much so.
yeah.
People,
All right.
people want to know where you stand, they want to know where you stand, and you're going to have a lot more fans if you're polarizing. So take the risk, be polarizing.
All right, Dr. Christine Kaczmar, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So they can go to thedigestiondoctor.com or workwithdrchristine.com. Workwithdrchristine.com is my link tree, which will have a bunch of freebies on there. And otherwise you can call my office if you want. I don't know if that'll be in the details, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about gut health or anything of the sort. And it's been a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me on, Patty. I love you and appreciate all the work you do. If it weren't for Patty Dominguez, people listening and watching, my business would be eons behind. This lady, her pedigree, her style, her way that she communicates, it just resonated with me and it turned my whole business around long, long ago. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Christine Kaczmar. All your links, the website, how to get a hold of her, how to follow her genius, and all the good things will be right below this video. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I consider you an OG. Like, you've been in the game and you're not going anywhere. So all you just like we talk aspirationally about expansion and growing and always being better. And so it's really important to be around people like that, which could be a tip number 6. Like, just right. That's such a big component for having that sustainable business, not just flash in the pan. You could be hot one year and then go by the wayside, but that's so not you or me, actually. So
right.
we're here. We're here for the long haul. So
That's right, girl.
Thanks.
Thank you.